So, so yes, Mehdi, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I know you are kind of a new entity in the surface finishing, but I know you guys have some great products. So first of all, tell me about Maxterial, the company, and all that you all do. Tell us a little bit about that first.
Well, Maxterial is basically a chemical coating and also data technology company. Started in 2015. It has a very unique story why we started this. Basically, we received an inbound interest from a very famous investor, which basically after that I moved from East Coast to West Coast and started the company. But anyhow, since 2015, we have been focused on replacing hard chromium and in overall in the wear and corrosion market, by wear and industrial oil. That
Gotcha.
has been our focus.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. The product that you have, MaxShield, tell us about that, how it got developed. I know you said, for a hard chrome replacement, but give us a little history of that, how it got developed and where it is today.
Well, the original story of the company was not about chrome replacement. So basically, we had a super repellent or like super hydrophobic electroplated copper surface, right? And nothing to do with wear and anything else. So that's what came out of Virginia Tech. But then we started a company, and after we came to the company, we found the market is toward replacing chrome and high wear and corrosion environment. So it has been a lot of pivots, and starting from 2000, I believe 18, we came up with the first kind of prototype of the product, which was good for lab work. Then started working almost 5-6 years to make it something that works in actual field, like from the process standpoint and also from the performance standpoint. Like chromium, you want to plate a part when it comes out, it's shiny, beautiful, right? So thickness matters. This matter. Just working is very important, but even for industrial use cases, that matters, right? So match the RA, many characteristics that a hard chrome replacement needs, cost, right? So many other factors. So basically it took another, I think 5 years to 2022, 2023, where we had our first customer, which was a small company operating in 60-gallon tank. And starting from there, we started going to bigger companies and larger tanks and all of that, right? So it was developed literally over the course of about 11 years and on a very kind of methodological way of going from small beaker to 12 gallon to 60 gallon to 600 gallon to 3,000 gallon. So that's, we tried our best to go that way and trying to meet all the performance, cost, and also, ESG values, right? You don't want to replace chrome with something else that,
right.
Again, 5 years after that, again, is a new trouble, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's
Right.
the story of Maxterial.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say you do have some pretty prominent investors that have seen this technology. I'm sure that they know exactly what you're doing, and they've sort of kind of bought into this with you. So obviously there's some legitimacy there. Some of those investors, and you say this came out of the University of Virginia. Some of the research they were doing there at that point.
No, Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. So this didn't come out of Virginia Tech. The original copper surface came out of Virginia Tech. Right?
Ah, gotcha.
So this was fully built in-house. Basically, the story was we published the paper, and after publishing the paper in Langmuir, so one of the early stage funds of Peter Thiel, the famous Silicon Valley investor, they found that paper and we received an email from them. Our mentors at the time, we are talking about 12, 13. So at the time, we were at an incubator in Virginia Tech, and our mentor received the email from them. The name of the fund was Breakout Lab, which was backed by Peter Thiel Foundation, right? So they had interest. We submitted the proposal. I traveled to kind of San Francisco Bay. I met them. So basically, they became the investor. And after that, we had many other famous investors too. The name of them all is listed in there, including corporate investors, right? We have funding now from U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, and all of that too. So, but regardless of the first 3-4 years, it was a startup figuring out product market fit, where we want to focus. through that process, we found that the original product doesn't work. The original market doesn't work. We have tweaked the product toward making an alloy system. I'm happy to tell overall composition of it. If it comes later, I can explain now too, right? And
Right.
also we found that market, we better off focusing on heavy wear and heavy corrosion rather than non-stick surfaces, right?
Right.
Which I can explain later. I think there is urgency there. When you work toward this kind of market, the company can truly reduce the downtime. The company can truly solve a real urgent problem, supply chain problem, can take real liability off the shoulder of the customers, right? And it
Right.
is something these people really need. It's a
Right.
difficult thing to develop. Many people try to replace hard chrome replacement, and you know better than me, all of them ended up in very difficult situation, right? Because the criteria is cost, capital cost,
Right.
ESG, performance. Now, and it because it's a very unique business, it's not very common for this kind of companies to raise venture capital and be Silicon Valley company, right? So
Right.
just look at the Silicon Valley companies. How many of them do this kind of things? I don't know if any of them ever have done, right? But going through all these phases and develop the product the way I explained to you, if there is no way except engaging some investors, right? So
Right.
some have to come in and enable it, and industry then have to help by adopting it, and then after that becomes very well investable through IPO and all kind of private equity and this and that, right? But how you build a plan that investors that typically never invest in this type of domain and they don't know how their ROI is going to be calculated, like it. Companies that normally take them forever to adopt the technology, like it. The shop people have been running chromium forever, and they
Right.
have done they all of a sudden a random alloy out of somewhere with a bunch of criteria. So I want to say how to meet all these criteria is what made the hard chrome replacement especially more difficult. And we try to find all these criteria and through a proper constraint optimization, come up with the best possible thing that can happen. I think we built it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You mentioned earlier that the U.S. military is involved in this. I know it's something from a very high level the government has really wanted to find a replacement, right? And now they're partnering with you on this. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get involved with them, and what's their role in all of this that you're
That's
playing?
right. Okay. Well, we got involved with them a couple of years ago. I go to trade shows and all of that. I went to the Army's trade show too, and I had some presentation in specific programs like ESTCP programs, like they get to know us, and they have internal mandate. Like Army has a 2030 mandate to use of chromium, and it's something really important to them already, right? So, well, I think I got to know them through ESTCP program, and
Right.
actually, I knew somebody in Lockheed Martin, and the person in Lockheed further introduced me to them in, I believe, 2023, right? And also we engaged a former retired Army colonel and some lobbyists in the company. So initial contact is something, navigating through the system and finding all the proper stakeholder and learning is another thing, right? So we have been through that program. And what we are doing at Army now is mainly focused on ground vehicles. When we talk about aerospace system, they have many criteria, fatigue, performance, many criteria that takes time. Ground vehicles could be faster to market, right? So we define that basically as the government go-to-market scenario. We work with DEFCON, and I
Okay.
think the detailed information is out there. So through that, they are running certain tests. A lot of these tests we already have done ourselves in the past, that corporate customer they have. And they try to, over the time, build a mil spec on this, have an in-house plating line to prove all the demonstrations and everything else. What is funded already is mainly on the testing and maybe potentially get us to mil spec, right? So
Right.
that's what we do with Army. And in parallel phase, we are working with Air Force. We are pre-approved for a contract, not signed yet. I don't want to And if that comes through, then it enables the entire complement testing that is needed for like air vehicles, that ground vehicles, they don't need that. So basically, that's going to be the next step, working with Air Force. We go toward the ground vehicle, then we put it on the air vehicles, right? So
Right.
then
Gotcha.
that is coming. And actually, recently, we also had a plus up from Congress, not Congress yet, from House Appropriation. That is initial approval on that. If it goes through next year, then there is another funding that can help the DoD to further evaluate and build in-house capacity for adopting the technology.
Gotcha. Yeah. And did you mention, do you have some shops that are utilizing this now, either testing it or utilizing it in real operations now?
We have our own shop in Brown City, Michigan, and
Mhm.
also yes, there is a shop in southern Michigan that already is using the technology in a limited capacity. And we are working on a couple additional ones. There is a list of companies on pipeline. So basically, at our Brown City facility, we can provide initial testing kind of parts. We can be an interim coating supplier. And at the same time, the shops, in the interim time, if shop want to build a line or convert an existing line, our major model is to be a chemical supplier and provide license, right? We don't intend to be coating. So, but we provide coating capacity for the sake of being an interim supplier until the lines are ready and whatever, right? Because when people test, they need an immediate supply, right? And we just bridge the gap here.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's like you said, many companies have tried to do this, and I think, like you mentioned, they probably had a very good product, and a lot of the hoops and hurdles they had to jump just probably it wasn't worth it to them to try to do these things. But it looks like you all are trying to get it to the end line with this. Where do you see in the next years or a couple of years? What do you see happening that this could possibly be available to a lot of more end users who would want to try and implement this in their processes with that?
Well, first of all, we already, I believe, more than 10 customers from across the world. We have Italians, Australians, Canadians, not just American. They already reached out. Some of them actually signed license, at least a trial agreement, depending on their stage, and they are trying it. So if anyone is interested to try it, they are more than welcome to reach out to Maxterial. Usually we give them a presentation, then an NDA, and we discuss the trial plan, right? So the trial is right now. Anybody want to come? And we have two models. We are working on some very specialty applications that they are complex parts, very big parts, like 10 ton, 20 ton, right? For those kind of model, we actually go to their facilities, right? Well, of course, there is a cost to everything, but put that aside, we go to the facility, we take chemical there, we get people there, and we just run the trial in their facilities. But if it is something that we have done that with a major steel company. They spent, I think $3 million to build the line actually to fit our product. It was a dual use line. It could use chromium, it could use us too, right? So that's possible model, but for the parts that they are within certain range of diameter and all of that, they can ship it to us and I can coat them and they can try it, right? And for chromium shop and for nickel shops, because this is a nickel based alloy, right? Nickel shops, chrome shops, nickel false shops, if they have interest, they can reach out to me. Normally they are driven by their customers, but if they think but if they think there is something they can do with Maxterial, they're more than welcome to reach out. We're happy to take a call.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the customers, OEMs. Is it going to be a challenge to get them to accept this, to spec it in? How do you think that's going to go? That seems to be a big hurdle for some people with that.
Yeah, it comes to proper design of go-to-market strategy, right? So if you put the first customer to be, I don't know, like Caterpillar, Komatsu, you're not going through just the product test. This product is already tested in field. The hydraulic parts with this product for 1.5 to 2 years, they have been in multiple factories around the world already. It's pretty much guaranteed it works, right? We have been through trial on work rolls, like work for steel production, chromium lasts 4 to 6 hours over there, and we last twice. So I want to say we already started with the most extreme environment, and we are good, right? But if you start with a very big OEM and all of it, that's a wrong go-to-market strategy. We start with maintenance shop, right? But DoD is a maintenance shop itself, just if you look at it in a big picture. But hydraulic maintenance, and they are very big companies too, but they have less hurdles with getting spec. You know, they can go direct to field rather than going through a lot.
Gotcha.
Again, keep in mind, we are investor back. We have to generate cash. We have to have a proper ROI plan. We cannot say we're going to test forever, right? So one part is that part that, you know, pick a proper partner, right? But at the same time, we work with OEMs that they have some longer cycle adoption too. But every data comes out of field, out of a lot of these companies we work with, also accelerate them too. It's constant, right? But another proper strategy is what we are doing with US DoD. Well, I knew DoD for even longer time, but didn't start working with them. We want to work with them from the day that we know we have a super perfect product, that when we get to the DoD, just pass test, build spec, right? Rather than do a lot of R&D. Do the R&D with investor. So one parallel path is just also this accelerated, as much as possible, accelerated, well-planned test with DoD. When DoD builds it into mil spec, a lot of other specs naturally will be consequence of this spec, right? So proper go-to-market and proper approach of government kind of partnership, these are the ways to, and also fundraise plan. So there are ways to fund, like, you know, if we can raise funds and own some of the owners of the spec, we can go accelerated. That, of course, needs a huge amount of capital. But I want to say there are multiple strategies you can adopt at the same time. And these are the unique things, right? Then if you go successful, these unique things become lesson learned for the next company that want to bring a coating to the market. Don't reach out to the most famous airplane manufacturer in the world right away. No, look, there is a local maintenance shop, and he can get it approved way faster, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, and you know, you've been doing this for, I guess, well over 10 years now, I guess, with this, right? You said 2000, about around 2015 is when you started.
Yeah, I've been founder and CEO of Maxterial from July 2015. So basically, and before Maxterial, I was a scientist, but before that also I was an entrepreneur. I worked in the field myself. I worked on gas turbines and, you know, boilers and everything myself. From very early age, I was an industrial working in factory type person, right?
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, tell me, what are some things you've learned? Because I don't know, did you know much about the surface finishing industry before you started this in 2015?
My knowledge of coatings, if I want to do that, started from 2009 when I started my PhD at Virginia Tech, right? Before that, I was more of a thermal engineer, kind of like consider me as combustion and thermal engineer. My title was mechanical engineering, but a mix of mechanical aerospace type engineer, right?
Right.
So Virginia Tech, I started to work on certain robots, just basically a fluid mechanic type engineer, right? But over the time, my project switched to become like inventing antimicrobial surfaces, but not using chemical reaction, main chemical kind of maze, like geometrical. Geometrical analysis. It was a whole new nano type coating, call it that way. I think the easy way by explaining. So that's what I get exposed to the coating industry. Like, and after that, well, I got my PhD. I didn't get my PhD from engineers. My PhD advisor was a chemist. He was a physical chemist, and my second advisor was a microbiologist, right? So basically, yeah, I got a master's in biomedical engineering too. I really have been through a lot of this, right? But my basic learning from coating goes back to 2009. My metal finishing learning start from, let's say, 2013. And then 2015, it just became a whole different journey for me, that now I'm B2B, B2G, financing, that kind of thing. But every year, as far as I remember, every year I was in NASF conference, right? So, and I go to many other trade shows, but I basically try to keep myself up to date about the ecosystem, right? What's
Right.
happening inside of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. And like I said, I often tell people there's not a lot of great new products that come along in this industry, and this sounds like something that can really, to use the word game changer, but definitely this is something that a lot of people are looking forward to do. And I know it takes a long time to put this together. It just doesn't come overnight. So, congrats to you all for putting through the hard work with this. And we'll put your website there. Definitely, if anybody wants to reach out to you all to see about partnering up. If they have any questions, I'm sure you'd be glad to help them with that. But interesting technology that you've got there to help the industry with that.
Thank you very much, Tim. I hope it goes to market. I hope it get adopted. I hope it becomes a lesson learned for future entrepreneur. More people invest in this domain. I hope it truly saves lives. I hope it truly has the potential to truly reduce downtime and I hope it shows that there is a way to do proper environmental work that has a true value for everyone. And it just cross many bridges, right? And create many new cultures. That is my hope. That is why I could stay in this for long term, pay myself low salary, but not give up on that. That's my hope, right? I hope things comes along really well. And thanks for the interview. I appreciate it.